This is Healing at Soul Level with your host, Shawna Williams. Shawna is here to provide various forms of healing that are non-invasive, that promote relaxation and aid the body in naturally healing itself by using ancient healing techniques that have been around for centuries. So please welcome the host of Healing at Soul Level, Shawna Williams.
Good morning. Hello, and welcome to Healing at Soul Level. I'm your host, Shawna Williams. Today's guest, Diana Roehl, is a 500-hour registered yoga teacher. She's also the owner and operator of Diana's School of Yoga, where she and her instructors teach a variety of classes, including Thai yoga therapy, which is an ancient system of body work that combines yoga and Ayurveda to increase joint mobility, muscular flexibility, circulation, and and reduce stress. Welcome to the show, Diana.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Oh, I'm so glad you're here. I am interested about this Thai yoga, but first tell me a little bit more about yourself.
Well, I started out teaching aerobics while I was a human resource manager for a Fortune 500 company. And I'd gone through a training, and they had said, after 15 minutes of abdominal work, you don't really get any benefits from it. So they told me they wanted me to teach a 30-minute ab class, and I was like, well, you just told me after 15 minutes you're just not doing it. They said, well, then do some stretches. And those famous last words led me on the journey where I am today. I started looking up stretches, and everything kept pointing to yoga. So I started taking yoga classes, and the next thing you know, I was getting yoga trainings, and it just changed my life.
Oh, so you've always been into doing healthy type of exercises, huh?
Well, and I didn't really start until I was almost 40. Before then, no, that's not true, because I remember there was Cosmopolitan Lady. So I went there, and but as a young girl, I didn't really want to do any type of physical activity. I just wanted to look and play with dolls. So,
right.
know me from I'm really young are kind of shocked that I'm in a field where I'm actually moving. But anyway, that's the way it goes.
Well, that's the way it works sometimes, and I get that.
Yeah.
So then after you finished doing your classes, then you got registered, or how did you become a teacher?
Well, after I started studying about, you mean how to become a yoga teacher or a Thai yoga practitioner?
Yoga teacher in general. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, after I started reading about it and I did those 15 minutes of stretching, and, as a aerobics instructor, I got injured at least once a year. And people who exercise a lot, that tends to happen because you're overusing your muscles. And so injuries, sprains, and different things happen. So after I started doing just 15 minutes of yoga, I noticed that my balance was better. I was not getting injured. And so I just started exploring it more and more and more. Every time I went out of town, I would take yoga classes, and I just fell in love with it.
Wow. Yeah, I've taken yoga before, and I've also taken your aerial yoga class, and that was wonderful. I really liked that class.
Yeah, that's amazing. So, yeah.
So how did you get into the Thai yoga? Is it different teachers for different types, or how does that work?
Well, and we don't really teach. I noticed I didn't really notice it before. I'm sorry, but we don't teach Thai yoga in my studio. I do Thai yoga therapy when people set appointments with me. So it takes a lot of training to be able to do this. I started my first training in Thai yoga was in 2008. And I started my yoga training in about 1995 or 1996.
Okay.
So after I going back to the yoga, I started feeling better. I was not getting injured anymore. So then I decided, well, I'm just going to learn how to teach it. And as a matter of fact, there was the YMCA ran the aerobic center where I worked. And so I was actually the first person to bring yoga to the downtown YMCA in downtown Fort Worth. So it was pretty new at the time in this area of Texas. I'm sure in Austin they had been doing it for eons. But here, there were very many places that offered yoga.
Okay, so now I'm realizing, so I only knew that you offered the classes. I didn't realize that you did teach them. Do you teach them in your studio as well, or am I getting this confused?
Well, do I teach yoga?
Yes.
Yes. It's just called Mama School of Yoga because I kind of feel like anybody who is interested in yoga should know enough about it that they can become teachers too. But I don't have a teacher training at all. It's just by learning how to correctly move your body in yoga, how to feel in yoga, which helps every single person who comes into my studio have a deeper understanding of what is actually happening when we practice yoga.
Okay, I get that. That makes a lot of sense. I mean, you don't want somebody to come in there and they don't understand anything that they're doing. So I get that. Okay, that makes a lot of sense now. So, so tell me a little bit more about the origins of yoga or Thai yoga. Either one of those is fine.
Okay, well, yoga is, it's like, some people say 5,000 years, some people say 2,000 years. There are hieroglyphs in Egypt that show people doing yoga. So,
wow.
It's a very ancient practice, and it came about from man's wanting to, and women wanting to understand how their bodies work. And they went into this field and began to understand they knew how the blood went in and out of the heart and how circulation worked before there was ever even a thought in anybody's mind about autopsies or opening the body up and seeing how these things work. These people sat and contemplated and understood the mechanics of the body just from being quiet and listening, looking at nature around them and emulating that and trying to bring that into their own body, mind, and spirit.
Oh, see, that's so calming just to think about it that way. That's pretty deep.
Very deep. And then the Thai yoga, in Thailand, they were doing a type of body work using acupressure. And then the physician of the Buddha, Jivanka, was traveling through Asia, and this is this way that we were taught. And then he saw what they were doing, and he combined yoga with that practice.
Oh, okay. Well, this is very interesting. I can't wait to learn a little bit more, but we're going to take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, welcome back to Healing at Soul Level. I'm your host, Shawna Williams. We have been talking to Diana Roehl from Diana School of Yoga, and she has been talking to us about Thai yoga and the origins of yoga in general. So, Diana, something that lots of people like to know is yoga a religion?
No, it is not. As a matter of fact, it's far from religion as you could imagine. Back in ancient times when yoga first was starting out, the people who were in religions were in religious groups were actually against yoga because yoga was teaching that God resides within you. You don't get it in a building. You don't have to do anything to have it. It's just something that we all are a part of. And they didn't really like that kind of talk. But that's just, yoga is very spiritual, but it's not a religion at all. You can be any religion or not have any religion and still be able to gain benefit from this practice.
Yep, that sounds about right then, because that's how this show works. Is there, it's about spiritual healing, and so I know yoga is very healing for the body, as you said.
Yeah.
I also saw that Thai yoga is also like part of Ayurveda. Could you explain Ayurveda to people?
Yeah. So Ayurveda actually
Ayurveda.
precedes the actual yoga practice itself, and it also is a precursor for modern medical science. So it was the first time. Ayurveda means the student of life, and so this was the first time that people started exploring how the body works and what herbs and oils and things help to heal the body. And through trial and error, they just started, experimenting and finding out how to get the body to work in its best form. And that's how, and what Ayurveda means and what it stands for is just the study of how our body reacts to our environment and things that we can do that can strengthen us. Like many times when people think about Ayurveda, they know about the doshas, the pitta, the kapha, and the vata. And these are imbalances in the body. And Ayurveda goes in deep into that and says, well, then if you've got too much of this, then it means you probably shouldn't be eating these types of food, or you need to add these to your diet. These are the types of yoga exercises that will work best for you. These are the types of oils that you can apply that can give you some balance for the imbalances that you might be experiencing right now in your life. So
Okay.
it's in a holistic manner.
I'm sorry, that last part got a little blurred. What did you say?
I said that Ayurveda teaches you how to heal your body in a holistic way, working with not just finding out what's wrong with, what caused this disease in your body. What are you doing that is taking away prana from your healing? And so that's basically how that works, like a true mind, body, spirit connection.
And for people that don't know, prana is like the healing energy, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I always say things a little off, so it's Ayurveda or Ayurveda.
It's one of one, tomato. I say Ayurveda too. So,
Okay.
it's Ayurveda though, because in Sanskrit it would be so you're right.
Okay, Ayurveda. Okay. Yeah, because I actually went online and took my dosha and found out that when they tell you that you're a certain dosha, that means that that's where your imbalance is, correct? And so that you have to do things to balance back out so that you have an even of all three of them.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So a lot of people say I'm pitta. Well, you actually should say I'm a pitta imbalance. So I tend to be imbalanced in this fiery range, and I need to learn how to cool that off. So that's exactly right.
Okay.
And so how that incorporates into, beg your pardon?
No, go ahead.
Okay. And so that type of idea is also integrated into Thai yoga as well. Thai yoga is a combination of yoga, acupressure, and Ayurveda. So that we use oils during a Thai session in different areas of the body. We are looking for and seeking out blocks in the body through using the acupressure and stretching the body, and so that people can come back into balance after a Thai session as well. So it's a very intense type of body work. Some people will think it's a massage, and then they're surprised when they find out, I wear yoga clothes, I lay on a mat, and you're going to be stretching me, and I use my hands, feet, elbows, and knees to press into the Sen Lines, which are very similar to the Meridian Lines. So acupuncture follows the Meridian Lines, and Thai follows the Sen Lines, S-E-N.
Now, I've heard of the meridians, of course, because I deal with that sometimes with some of my Reiki and stuff, but the Sen Lines, is it basically about the same but just in different areas, or how does that, is that in points, or is that also lines through your body?
Almost exactly the same, except one is coming from traditional Chinese medicine and the other is coming from traditional Thai medicine. So these places are really close together. So they are almost exactly the same lines. Some of them are more or less not the same, but they're following that same path. So, like for instance, if you get a massage, then your muscles are being massaged and you get some kind of release from your ligaments and tendons, but Thai is releasing all that tension through the Sen Lines. We're pressing on the Sen Lines, and then it releases blocks in the body so your body can heal itself. Because of that, the effects of a Thai session will last 6 to 8 weeks. Whereas if you get a massage, you feel great, but it doesn't last 6 to 8 weeks. It feels good, and I'm not saying, I love massages too, but if you're really looking to get a change in your body, you would do well to get a Thai session.
Okay. Well, we're going to learn a little bit more about this when we come back, but right now we need to go to a break. Stay tuned. Welcome back. I'm your host, Shawna Williams, and this is Healing at Soul Level. We left off, we were talking about Thai yoga with Diana Roehl from Diana School of Yoga. Okay, Diana, tell me some more about this Thai yoga.
Well, it's been around for a really long time as well. And again, we're talking about the Buddhist physician is the one who started spreading this practice throughout Asia, going from Thailand all the way back to India, and how people were able then to find release and find a way of healing from injuries, and just healing, physical and emotional healings is something else that can happen during a Thai session. It's, because it's done one-on-one, and so the practitioner and the person, the client, you have a symbiotic relationship, because the Thai is for me, it's important, the touch, that I'm always in contact with what this person is feeling and how do I go about helping to release any tension or stress that's in the body. And so basically it is a body work type of situation. You're either going to be sitting, lying down, either on your back or on your tummy. You'll be on your sides, and then we end up working every single part of the body, even the head and your scalp. We're working everything, and a lot of times, just really simple things can really mean a lot in helping you find a balance in your system. So the Buddha's physician was around during the 5th century. And so all of this stuff is just happening. It's just something that's been going on for a very long time. At one point, I think Thailand was invaded by Burma, and they destroyed all of their records, all of their medical things, all of their Thai medicine. They destroyed all of that, because that's, when you get invaded, they try to break you down on a very cellular level. And so for a long time, the practice of Thai just really only existed in a very small way, where some people who were still way up in the mountains still practiced it, but as a general practice, it kind of lost its way after that. But then probably about 500 years ago, someone uncovered a cave, and it had all of the Thai diagrams in it. And so it came back again. So it was there, and then it came back. And so now we have this modern expression of Thai yoga. So, and man, am I happy to have found it. I remember in my first 500-hour training, we were talking about partner yoga, where two people do yoga together. And then they explained that came from Thai yoga therapy. And I was like, well, what is this? And so I was always curious about what it was. And then when I went for another training during my 500 hours, there were some women there that were doing it. And I was like, I have got to find out how to get this done and how I was just so drawn to it. And I knew it was something that would play an important part in my life. So I just stepped out on the limb, plunked my little money down, and headed off to Ojai, California, and stayed in a yurt and got my training, my first training.
Wow. I've been hearing about yurts, so that's really cool. That seems really... So I'm actually thankful that they were able to find that as well, because like you said, things get destroyed, but some people within these groups find a way to hide. I mean, you can find so much ancient scriptures in all of these different caves and all of these areas around the world.
Yes. And so there it was, all diagrammed out and showing where the Sen Lines were so we know where to work and what does this mean. I mean, just very simple things. I know that when, like, there's certain pressure points that you can, meridians or Sen Lines that you can press that can help women in menopause, help women in labor. There's certain things that happen. I've had people who had shoulders that were locked up, and after one session, bam, it's gone. Because it's just the relationship between the body and the Sen Lines is the same as the Meridian Lines. You're not just pressing in that one area. It's related to something else always, and then the release just comes from letting these blocks go. So it's pretty amazing.
I realized that I was asking, was it the same as meridian, so that I can have an understanding, but some of our listeners may not even know what meridian lines are as well. So could you explain a little bit about what these lines are and how they kind of work within the body? Just a little bit of it,
I do, because it really, you have to almost go to medical school to really explain it. So as far as I can, there are thousands of energetic lines that go throughout the body. As a matter of fact, they've been able to map them so that they actually do exist. So there are these energetic lines that are going throughout your body, and certain areas of these lines are connected to every single part in your body. Like if you go and get reflexology done, this is where they press lines on your feet. And from these lines in your feet, they can affect every single part of your body. Like the inside of your big toe going down on the inside is related to your upper spine. So many times people have just thought, oh, this is just some kind of,
woo-woo hoodoo something.
Woo-woo
right?
stuff, hoodoo. It's not really true. And now they're finding, we see these energy lines that are having this frequency around the areas where they said the Meridian Lines and the Sen Lines lay. So they're not just woo-woo, they're actual physical things that can be seen now because of these high imaging machines that we have now. So although these people who have used it have known all along that it was serious. I mean, you see people have an open heart surgery after just having acupuncture, and that's the only anesthesia they have. So it's a real thing. It's not just woo-woo.
Okay, well, we are going to take a quick break on that note, and we will be right back. Hello, and welcome back to Healing at Soul Level. I'm your host, Shawna Williams. I'm sorry, I almost said my maiden name, but I've been married for 20 years, so my husband would probably kill me if I did that. Anyway, we were talking to Diana Roehl about Thai yoga and yoga in general. And I wanted to know a little bit more about how or what's involved in a Thai yoga session.
Okay, well, as I had alluded to earlier, you wear the same kind of things you'd wear to exercise in or you do yoga in because some people actually call it lazy man's yoga because while you're sitting or lying there, I'm stretching your body in different yoga postures. And while I'm stretching your body in these different yoga postures, I would then be pressing on the Sen Lines, using my hands, feet, elbows, and knees. It's really kind of amazing how, I could touch one part of your body and you feel the pressure. I could go one step below that and you might feel like I just put something really a needle pressing into you. It's so sharp.
Oh.
So it just all depends on where your imbalances are. A lot of times, as a matter of fact, while you're sitting or standing, I'm using my hands, I'm using my feet and my elbows. And really one of the most surprising things is that my feet are even more sensitive than my hands. And I guess that probably has to do with how in reflexology, you can feel everything through the bottom of the feet. So I feel a lot of things in people's bodies through while I'm pressing on them with my feet, I actually feel different things releasing and
Wow.
getting, like if I'll feel a knot and then I feel the knot release, or I'll feel vibration in the body.
Mm-hmm.
I'll feel bubbles popping. So all of these kind of things are happening in the body as I'm using the acupressure. And then after that happens, then people have this amazing release. And you can almost tell immediately that something has happened. So while you're sitting there or laying there, then I have different areas that I work with. And I can do anywhere from an hour session to a 3-hour session. So it just depends on how long you want to work. Now, when you finish, it's like yoga times 10. So not only am I stretching your body out in yoga postures, I'm pressing those meridian lines so that you're going to really, really start having this amazing experience. And there'll be people who can't touch their toes, for instance. And after a Thai session, I've done, we've worked on their hamstrings and their lower back, and lo and behold, they're now touching their toes just that soon after the session. So
you don't have to be flexible. You don't have to be flexible.
No, you do not have to be flexible. As a matter of fact, some of my best results have come from people who have little flexibility, and then after getting Thai sessions on a regular basis, then they find that they have the flexibility, and they keep it well after the session is over with. We use oils. We'll work on people's feet, and then we use oils on the bottom of their feet. I use specific types of oils, grapeseed oils, almond oil, just working with different people's, trying to keep their doshas balanced as well. I also use essential oils as well, where let them inhale the, essential oils or, rub them on their temples, and these let that kind of work into everything else that's going on as well when we're during the session itself.
Oh, that's great.
And,
just to help Diana out, listeners, get a pedicure before you come to her class.
You don't have to have a pedicure. So,
hey, I'm just trying to help the sister out.
because I will be working on your feet. So, but I'll be working on your fingers, your toes, everything. There's even one part where I take my fingers in close to your scalp and then just squeeze the hair. So it's kind of like it stimulates the scalp, and it's really, really good if you have a headache. So there's just so much that's happening in a Thai session. If I get a 2-hour Thai session, I'll be able to get every single area. All 10 blocks that they say we have in the body can get released in a 2-hour session. If it's just a 1-hour session, I have to be very specific. Like one of the first questions I'll ask is like, what's going on in your body today? How can I help you? What do you want to see happening? And from that information, I'll then design out the sequence that I'll use for that particular person.
Okay, so I need to set a 2-hour appointment for my husband then.
Well,
and just make it a gift.
Yeah, and you know, if you did a 2-hour yoga session, the next day you're going to be kind of sore. And the same thing will happen in Thai. You'll feel a little muscle soreness like you've worked out. And sometimes this is a concern for people because, you know, they get massages and they're not sore the next day. Well, sometimes you get deep tissue massage and you can be sore, but it's a different type of sore. You actually feel like, and it is, because your muscles are contracted. From just living your everyday life, the muscles contract, then that's where injuries lie. And so you go in a Thai session, and it's like you're kneading out those contracted muscles, elongating them back out so they can function the way that they were meant to function, elongated, released, and relaxed.
Yeah, that sounds wonderful, though. It really does.
Well,
so can you have a healing
Thai session?
Can you have like a healing crisis where, I guess I should say more like a detoxification happen whenever you have Thai yoga?
Yes, exactly. And it does happen. And we, you know, of course we want you have to drink lots of water when you finish. So there's a detoxification that happens, and then there's also a wicking away. A lot of times if people have really serious injuries in their body, when I start touching them, even if I'm not doing anything strenuous, I'll start sweating. And, you know, my teacher told me originally, my first training in 2008, that it's an exchange of energy. And in my head, I was thinking, yeah, right, this is just, I doubt that that's really an actual thing that's going to happen. And then I found out, oh yeah, it's an actual thing that happens. And when I finish, it's important for me to wash my face and my arms off in cold water so I don't retain that. And I had a Thai session with a woman.
Let me stop you right there so that we can take
okay.
We need to take a quick break and we'll get back and we'll start back right with this. Welcome back to Healing at Soul Level. I'm your host, Shawna Williams. We've been talking to Diana Roehl today about Thai yoga, and we left off talking about an exchange of energy and what happens to her and what happens to the client during Thai yoga. So what were we saying, Diana?
I was saying that when I'm working on people and they have different imbalances, for instance, I had one woman, and I was just holding her wrist and moving her arm back in 3 different directions, you know, just moving it out. And I was barely moving her, and then all of a sudden, copious amount of sweat just started pouring over me. And I was like, do you have anything going on with this shoulder over here? And she goes, you know, I just found out that I have a curve in my spine at the top. They call it kyphosis. And I was like, oh, really? And so I was working on that area of her body just by moving her arm. I was working on that part of her spine, and sweat just started pouring off of me. And after we were done, that shoulder that had been hurting her because of the curve in her spine and upper back, it was gone. So it's just amazing that happened. And they said that would happen, but I just didn't see how that could even be possible. And so he had mentioned to us that, you know, if this is happening, so after you finish a Thai session, it's really important to rinse your hands, wash your faces off so that you don't retain that. One time I didn't do it, and the next day I felt like I had the flu. And I thought, oh, God, I'm sick. And then later on in the afternoon, there was nothing. So I thought, oh, my God, did that happen because I didn't rinse off my face and arms? So it was like, you know, I don't know if it was a coincidence. I just don't take any chances. So I just make sure that I take care of that before I move on to the next person.
No, that's definitely a thing because when I perform Reiki on somebody, I have to wash my hands to cut the Reiki connection, or else I can continue to feel, because I can feel people's body's pains whenever I'm doing
Yeah.
Reiki. And if I don't wash my hands, then later on that night or even the next day, I'll continue to feel their pains in those exact same areas. So it is definitely a real
Yeah.
thing.
It is. It didn't say, it sounds crazy, but it really isn't. So, they say the power of touch and the healing hand. This is truth. So, I
Yes.
mean, it's all about intention. When I'm doing Thai on people, I stay mindful of the work that is coming through me. It's not exactly me doing all this work. I'm facilitating a release for you to release your own pain and injury. And so I stay mindful of that. I keep my intentions pure. I will say words of thanksgiving and gratitude. I pray that this person stays well and that the universe is looking out for them. So it's a really wonderful connection that I have with people. The ability to see people come in injured and walk out healed is amazing, and knowing that I had a hand in helping that happen is very gratifying for me.
Oh, yeah. That is wonderful. I mean, to help other people be able to feel better, I know how that feels. It does. It's like a high, right?
Yeah, it feels really good to be able to help someone. And I have people that get, regular sessions, and they say this is part of their health regimen. This is something that they have to do in order to stay healthy. They come back some people come every other week, some people come every week, but people are getting the benefits from it. Those who want to, who want to get this type of body work done. And like I said, it's not, it's intense. And I have to teach people how to do yoga breathing so that they can manage how strong it feels in their own body.
Okay, so they also, as you said earlier, still get a lesson as well as to how to do certain things. And does that
Yeah.
help them like breathe through any other pain? Like if they're at home in between sessions and
Mm-hmm.
something happens, they can
Yes.
breathe through that.
You
Yeah.
can, and I mean, people have been doing it on Lamaze for years, and then you come in and you find out that the way you breathe has a lot to do with your sense of well-being. A lot of times, stress breathing is breath that emphasizes the inhalation, but the relaxing breath comes from the exhalation. And so I teach people how to control their breath so they can exhale longer, so that the entire time I'm pressing them, they can be exhaling, which manages for them how strongly they're feeling the touch.
Oh, okay. Do you have any examples of how some people were healed within your session that
Yeah,
you can talk about?
one woman. Yeah, I had one woman who was trying to get prepped for implants, and she ended up getting a horrible infection, which all of her sinus cavities were just filled with pus, and they became hard and opaque. So her doctor told her, well, we're going to have to go in through your nose and drill all your sinus cavities out. So
Oh,
she
man.
called me. She said, well, can Thai help with sinus problems? And I said, well, that's what I've been told. I hadn't even been doing Thai that long at that point. So she said, well, can you give me a 2-hour session twice a week until I have to go back to the doctor? Because he said if this stuff hasn't cleared out, he's going to have to drill it out. Then I have to go back and get it drilled out again, and I'd rather see if my body can heal naturally on its own. So I said, yes, I'll do that. So we did this for a whole month, twice a week, 2-hour sessions each time. And when she went back to the doctor, her sinuses were completely clear. And the doctor was like, how did this happen? He had never seen anything like that before. So that's just one example of something. And, I was just as surprised as she was, because I had no idea that was a possibility that it could happen, although in my instructions it said it can help sinus issues, and then it happened. So that's, I've had many, many examples of things. I had one man who couldn't lift his arm all the way up because his shoulder, he had, what do you call it when your shoulder gets pinched? Anyway.
Okay. Yeah,
I can't think
don't
of
know.
it. Anyway, after one Thai session, he could move his arm up. He never came back. Well, that's a good thing. If that's the only reason why you came is because you had that, and I helped you, then I'm saying God bless you. I'm happy that it worked out. But it's been amazing.
Oh, okay. That's, yeah, I'm going to have to give this one a try too. Like I said, I've tried your other service, but I need to try this as well. But we're going to take a quick break and we will be right back. Please stay tuned. Hello and welcome back to Healing at Soul Level. I'm your host, Shawna Williams. So we've been talking about Thai yoga in general. This has just been a wealth of information from Miss Diana Roehl with Diana School of Yoga. And I want her to tell everybody how we can contact her so that we can find out what other classes she has and how to get in there with her.
Okay. Well, as you've mentioned, Shawna, my studio is called Diana School of Yoga, and my website is www.dianaschoolofyoga.com, and it's only one N in Diana and then two S's following that. I'm in Grand Prairie at 925 West Pioneer Parkway. I'm in between Carrier and 161. It's really easy to get to it. And I have at least one class every day. We have a variety of yoga classes at our studio. We have a class Monday through Friday at noon. And then we have classes in the evening. And on Friday evenings, we have a specialty class, which Shawna had mentioned, aerial yoga. So this is a class where we have parachute silks that are hanging from the ceiling, and we do yoga postures in the aerial silks. And these aren't the ones like the Cirque du Soleil where you're climbing up one silk thing. It's like a swing.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a swing, so you're in it and you're not that far off the ground. But it really decompresses the spine and it opens these up, and it also has acupressure as a part of that, because where the silks press into your underarms and your legs helps to release tension and stress there as well. Then the Thai yoga is done one-on-one, so you have to call me and schedule an appointment. I also do private yoga sessions. Some people prefer that as opposed to going to a group class. And I also do corporate yoga where I go into people on site and do yoga for them on their job. So that's part of all of it.
Oh, you do a lot. And
I do.
You do a lot. And please, anybody, if you're in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, you need to check out Diana's School of Yoga and see for yourself. It's very nice, nice floors, nice atmosphere. It's just, I get a good feeling when I walk in there. It's very calming. And tea, do you still serve tea at the end?
Yes, on the weekends I always make tea. I get loose teas and make my own special blend, and people always saying, "You should sell this." But you know what? I just whatever I feel is happening, I just make whatever. I just mix it together. Whatever. I don't have any recipes. I just go by a feeling of this should be a good tea for this weekend. So I loved tea parties when I was a little girl, so I still love tea parties as a grandmother. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, I love those teas. And I thank you so much for joining me on this show today. Again, to get in touch with Diana or to sign up for her classes, visit her website at Diana's with an S, schoolofyoga.com. if you want to schedule a Thai yoga visit, you can call her at 817-909-6544. She's also on Facebook at Diana School of Yoga. Next week, I will discuss chakras, the energy centers of the body. So if you want to know a little bit about chakras, just tune in and then we will dive right in. It's a lot of information. So make sure that you are there next Friday at 9 a.m.
Oh, I almost forgot to mention that we have an Ayurvedic workshop coming up June 9th. So that should be on my website as well.
Okay, check out the workshop for Diana as well. For more information on this episode or to book Reiki services and Akashic record readings with me, visit my website at indigo-qi.com. If you have a healing modality that you'd like to share, then give me an email at shawna@indigoqi.com. You've been listening to Healing at Soul Level, and I'm your host, Shawna Williams. Thank you for tuning in. Love and light.
This has been Healing at Soul Level with host Shawna Williams. Listen each week as Shawna will help you discover the different healing modalities and how to use them in your everyday life, right here on Shawna Williams' Healing at Soul Level.